What is up, everybody? Mark Lobline, TigerFitness.com. Fresh off an amazing weekend. I want to go over some things about the show I judged this weekend. Excuse me. Got to make sure I'm sexy. The Mountain Pride Championships. The Musclemania show in Roanoke, Virginia. Now, I was really impressed with this show. One is that it was probably the greatest judging panel I've ever seen assembled. You had people from out of state who knew nobody. So you can't just say, oh, well, this guy, trainer, brought this person in and this and that. You'll know that I've been involved in some shit. Some bad political crap in my career as far as judging is concerned. Which is fine. Bodybuilding's subjective, and you got to accept that if you're getting into the sport. But imagine as a competitor going into a show and knowing afterwards that it was judged fairly. And I can tell you what, 95% of what was done, I completely agree with. If I voted differently, I agree with their assessments as well. It was a fantastically ran show as far as judging is concerned. The promoter, Anthony Ferguson, I've known him for years. He's a trainer, he's a competitor, and he wants what's best for the competitors. This show is first and foremost for them, and then you got the audience and everybody involved. I mean, these competitors were treated great. They were happy. The camaraderie backstage was great. It was great talking to them, great giving them feedback. And it was funny, this guy came up to me, this gentleman, he's 22 years old, and he placed second in his class. I had him first, but I can see where he got second. And I explained to him, you know what, his main issue was tightening his legs. The kid had leg development, but he just wasn't holding it. And instead of throwing a chair at me like most competitors would do, he blamed it on himself. And he attributed to not practicing that enough. So, by all means, that was great to have that kind of understanding and respect for the judging panel and coming up to us. They kicked us out. We were after for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, talking to competitors and going over what they missed on and what they hit on. The winners, there's always things you can improve. So, just got to say, the competitors, to the promoters, to the judges, all fantastic. Another thing, the sponsor, Fit Foods, they have these awesome meals they deliver to you. They're frozen. They have low-carb lasagna, no-carb pizza, some stupid stuff. But they were a great sponsor of the show. Obviously, TigerFitness.com sponsored it. Cellucor and some other brands. It was great. The sponsors did a great job. The goodie bags were stuffed. And this is something that, as a competitor, you feel good when you get a goodie bag filled with shirts and shakers, supplements and samples. I mean, it was awesome. Another thing I wanted to hit on. Probably the best bikini and figure competition I've ever seen. From the NPC to the OCB to the INBF to a couple pro organizations on the natural level. Judging this bikini, there were 4 girls who had a rightful place at the top. And it was literally judged, at least on my sheets, the gap was literally a point between each. It was an amazing turnout. These girls brought it. And just got to give props to everybody in the bikini division. Different things to go over as a bikini and figure. When you turn around, and this is not pointing fingers, but a couple girls did this. Put your legs together, and you have a slight pucker in your lower back, so you're showing off your glutes. One thing that I did, you guys know I'm all male, so don't hate on me on this, but when you have your legs spread out and you over accentuate the bend in the lower back, and you're essentially putting your, what's a politically correct term, your hoo-hoo in the air, and it's right up there. And it's right there for everybody to see, including your family and everybody in the audience. That's against the judging guidelines, so I had to actually mark down for that. It's really sad when you diet, you bring a great package, and you do pretty much the female equivalent of a moon pose, except it's more of the hoo-hoo pose. Again, something I'd watch in my living room, but not something that you want to do on stage. So that's what I got to say to the bikini. And that girls brought it. They had posture, poise, the smiles, the hair, everything was dead on. That's for 95% of them on that stage. It was amazing. Figure, again, it's a little harder division, the bikini, meaning that their bodies are going to be harder and more toned. But, they brought it as well. Men's bodybuilding in this show. Basically, all I saw that needed, and this, you could be watching this, you didn't go to the show, you don't give a crap. as a competitor or someone who watches it, this is what we look at as judges. Hold your poses, and when you get on stage, before you even think about flexing your upper body, flex those damn legs, get a stable core, flex those quads, because I can see some guys, they'd flex them, they'd let it go, and they look like a completely different bodybuilder. Hold your poses. Another thing is, not one guy in this show brought glutes. I know that's not a judging criteria, but it shows conditioning. If somebody would have brought glutes, that would have made you stand out on stage. So, I think everybody in this show, look into extending your diet out a little bit longer, maybe for some 2 weeks, for some 4 weeks. And these are for most everybody. There wasn't really anybody I could pick out and say, I'm not going to do it on camera. You needed like 8 to 10 weeks. But there were, most of them, 2 to 4 weeks from having a phenomenally conditioned body. And when you're dealing with guys who are generally the same size, conditioning stands out. That's not saying get flat and stringy, but you got to know that balance. That's part of competing. Another thing, last thing, judging panel. Phenomenal people. The head judge, Lisa, was amazing. I sat by Gretchen. I actually gave her a ride to the airport the next day. Left at 4:45 a.m. after getting back in the room at like 2:30. But it was well worth it. Phenomenal people. Sat by dude Adam. Great people. The other side of the table, the east side. We was on the east side. They was on the west side. Great judging panel. It was so great to be a part of this. Yodi, he knows everything about male. I really got to get with him about judging model, because he knows everything about that. But other than that, man, this was a hell of a show. Hell of an experience. Thank you to Anthony Ferguson and everybody involved. It was a hell of an honor to be there. Hell of an honor to judge this show. And any competitor in this show who wants to get a hold of me, Mark, M-A-R-C, at tigerfitness.com. Tiger fitness.com. Mark at tigerfitness.com. Email me. Send me pictures to critique. Just give me your number, because I have copious notes on everybody in that show. And I'll tell you what I thought and go over some things you can improve on. Even if you won. If you want to win again, there's always improvements to be made. You never know who's going to show up. And unfortunately for you bikini girls, everybody showed up, or else 4 of you could have won. Mark Lobliner, tigerfitness.com. Peace out.